Hello and welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament, which deliberates on legislative policies from the chambers of the National Assembly to the voices shaping Nigeria's democratic journey. Welcome once again. I am Anieti Patrick. Each week, we bring you the latest decisions, debates, and developments from the heart of the legislature, the bills shaping national policy, the motions addressing citizens' concerns, and the oversight actions holding the government accountable. On this episode of the program, the leadership of the National Assembly has called on Nigerians to take a greater interest in the legislative process by reading proposed laws, participating in public hearings, and engaging lawmakers before criticizing parliamentary decisions. Speaking at the 2026 National Assembly Open Week in Abuja, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, said many criticisms of the National Assembly are driven by misinformation, urging citizens to study bills and acts. The National Assembly officially commenced its 2026 Open Week in Abuja, with the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, declaring the three-day event open under the theme 3 years of the 10th Assembly, advancing transparency, inclusion, and reform. Akpabio also defended the passage of the State Police Constitutional Amendments, explaining that the proposal followed more than 2 years of consultations, retreats, and public hearings across the country.
So I want to encourage all of us that democracy flourishes when citizens remain active participants in the work of the parliament. The distance between parliament and the people should never again be measured in walls or gates, but only in the willingness of citizens to walk through those doors.
Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, said the 10th House has recorded its highest legislative output since 1999, considering 2,747 bills, passing 363 and securing presidential assents for 72 within 3 years. The Speaker said the proposed law contains safeguards against abuse, provides accountability measures, protects fundamental rights, and sets constitutional requirements for states seeking to establish state police.
Non-lawmaking demands that we strengthen the mandate of the institutions we already have and reduce the cost of governance. We have noted this and are correcting it. Constructive criticism is critical to good lawmaking.
Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, stressed the need for greater transparency in lawmaking, saying citizens should understand how laws are made, how public funds are appropriated, and how legislative oversight protects national interests. He also called for broader participation by youths, women, persons with disabilities, civil society, professional bodies, and private sector.
The legislature must continue to hear from young Nigerians, hear from the women, hear from persons with disabilities, civil society, the private sector, professional bodies.
The European Union Ambassador to Nigeria, Gotai Mingnot, and the British High Commissioner, Dr. Richard Montgomery, describes the Open Week as an important platform for strengthening transparency, citizen participation, and democratic accountability. They also reaffirmed support for Nigeria's democratic institutions and preparations for credible 2027 general elections.
Nigerians must find their own way to stop lagging behind in international rankings of women's representation. Nigerians' vocation is to lead, to show the example, not to lag behind.
Elections are the cornerstone of democratic life. They are the milestones in your democratic journey, indeed in any country's democratic journey. And they are the means through which citizens express their will, renew or not mandates, hold leaders accountable, and shape the future direction of their country.
Executive Director of the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, Clement Nwankwo, commended the National Assembly for sustaining the Open Week initiative, but urged lawmakers to strengthen oversight of the executive, improve transparency, conclude key constitutional and electoral reforms, and expand public participation in the legislative process.
Nigeria's democratic reform or future will depend in no small measure on the effectiveness of the National Assembly in carrying out its responsibilities, as I have indicated. Where oversight is weak, corruption flourishes. Where representation is diminished, public trust declines.
Stakeholders at the National Assembly Open Week say sustained dialogue between lawmakers and citizens will strengthen democracy, improve accountability, and build greater public confidence in the legislative process. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajudeen Abbas, has allayed the fears of Nigerians on the proposed state police framework that it contains strong constitutional safeguards to prevent governors and political actors from abusing the system. The Speaker gave the assurance at the National Security Roundtable during the 2026 National Assembly Open Week in Abuja. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajudeen Abbas, says concerns that state police could be used for political intimidation have been addressed in the executive bill before the National Assembly. According to him, the proposed constitutional amendment provides clear checks and balances to ensure accountability and professionalism in the operation of state police. Abbas explained that a state commissioner of police would be appointed on the recommendation of the National Police Council and confirmed by the State House of Assembly, while removal would require a two-thirds majority of the Assembly and must be based on justifiable grounds. He added that the federal police would only intervene under clearly defined constitutional provisions where a state police service is comprised.
Kidnappers have plagued our highways. Disputes between farmers and herders have resulted in deadly clashes. Fear has overtaken our schools. These are local problems and they need local knowledge, local presence, and local accountability. Policing works best when the people who protect the community actually belong to it. And that is the confidence this reform is meant to rebuild.
Former Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabor, retired, called for a comprehensive overhaul of Nigeria's security architecture through stronger intelligence gathering, improved institutional collaboration, and the responsible deployment of technology.
Whatever model we propose must enhance accountability, professionalism, interoperability, and respect for the rule of law. Third, we must evolve to make intelligence our first line of defense. The future belongs to those who can anticipate threats before they materialize.
Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani advocated intelligence-led policing and closer cooperation among security agencies to tackle emerging security threats.
Our security architecture must therefore evolve in response to these changing realities. Constitutional reform is not an admission that our existing institutions have failed. It is an acknowledgement that institutions like societies must adapt to remain effective.
Also lending his voice, the Etsu Nupe and chairman of the Niger State Council of Traditional Rulers, Brigadier General Yahya Abubakar, retired, endorsed the establishment of state police, describing it as a critical step towards improving community security.
We have what we call state police, well organized, well structured, and well funded to ensure that we have effective peace and security in our communities. As leaders, community leaders, we have not any other job, other than to ensure that we keep our people in peace, we moderate them, we marshal them, and ensure that yes, they commit or they contribute their own quota.
Participants at the roundtable agreed that state police, backed by constitutional safeguards, stronger intelligence, interagency collaboration, and phased implementation could significantly strengthen Nigeria's security architecture. The Nigerian Senate has announced a 50 million naira donation to the families of security personnel and teachers who lost their lives during the military operation to rescue pupils and staff abducted from the school in Orire local government area of Oyo State. The announcement was made on Wednesday by Senate President Godswill Akpabio during plenary as lawmakers commended the armed forces and other security agencies for the successful rescue of the kidnapped victims after 56 days in captivity.
According to the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, the Senate approved the donation as a token of support for the bereaved family, with 10,000 naira each to be presented to the next of kin of the 5 victims.
We also noted the fact that 3 of the personnel who went for the rescue operations lost their lives in the course of trying to rescue those children. An army lieutenant from Adamawa was killed, a police sergeant was killed, another private soldier was killed, and many were wounded. So on behalf of the Senate, we decided that also the teachers, 2 teachers that were in captivity with the children, were also murdered. So we've taken the motion, we've applauded government, we've applauded the security agencies, and we are pleading that the same be extended to any other part of the country where there may be any Nigerian in captivity. And so today we just felt, after discussion with the leadership, that we want to also support the victims' families. Like the young lieutenant was just 28 years old when he died in that operation. So we are sending a token of 50 million naira to them to be divided into the 5 deceased families. The family of the 2 teachers, the family of the 3 operatives who lost their lives, 10 million each, on behalf of the Senate.
Recall, the General Officer commanding GOC 2 Division, Nigerian Army, Major General Chinedu Nnebefe, had disclosed that 3 military personnel were killed during the month-long operation to dismantle the Ansaru terrorist network operating within the Old Oyo National Park. Several local hunters and Omotekun cooperatives who supported the joint security operations also reportedly lost their lives during the rescue mission. Paying tribute to the fallen personnel and teachers, Akpabio said the Senate's intervention was intended to provide financial support to their families and honor the sacrifices made in the service of the nation and the protection of innocent Nigerians.
The Senate's minority leader, Senator Abba Moru, has identified lack of cooperation among traditional institutions, state institutions, and other stakeholders as the root cause of incessant killings in Benue State. Addressing the Senate's press corps after plenary on Wednesday in Abuja, Senator Abba Moru, who was full of emotions about the killing, said the traditional ruler of Idoma Kingdom, His Royal Majesty Agaba Idu Odogbo John, got the intelligence about the killings of 20 people in Akpachi village in Ubojo, community Otukpo Ndobi, 7 days earlier before the incident.
Senator Moro said the killings in Benue should not be reduced to giving consolation gifts, accusing Governor Aliyah of not interested in visiting spots of the attacks but only visited the victims in Makurdi Hospital, where he announced donations of 5 million naira for the family of the victims. The minority leader noted that the traditional ruler expressed frustration on the inability to reach the state police commissioner for proper action.
You hear before that I'm not a good student of state police, but majority of senators have agreed to the creation of state police. So be it. As they say, the minority will always have their say, and the majority will have their way. So the state police has come to stay. I just pray that in the face of this menace, that all of us are alive, going forward, to see what the state police will do. Because in these states that have been clamoring for state police, they have informal security outfits. In my state, we have, those of you from Benue State, you know about the existence of Operation Zenda, which is a coming together of all the security forces to form one unit of operation. We also have in Benue State the volunteer guards. And from the part of the state that I come from, we have the Homeland Security. I stand to be corrected. But as the last time I checked, the 15,000 naira per personnel of the Operation Vanguard in Benue State have not been paid. And they lack the necessary logistics and equipment to confront the menace of armed attacks.
Answering questions from journalists, the senator insisted that relevant authorities should take necessary actions in curbing the incessant attacks on communities in his constituents. The Senate Minority Leader said the recent attacks could not be linked with the killing of the Miyetti Allah leader in Benue State with the recent killings of 20 people. He expressed fear that the state actors would also turn such state police to the puppets of the state government, same fate like state electoral commissions.
Importance, and specifically it had to do with the massacre of people in the Benue South Senatorial District by armed bandits living in the wake of 72 hours, 20 dead, including children. And you know, in the past, it used to be that people characterize these attacks as farmer-herder clash. And I kept insisting that this is not a matter of herder-farmer clash. It is a matter of an orchestrated attempt to decimate the population of our communities. And the eventual intention, as we are concluding, is that they want to take over our lands. Otherwise, how do you explain a situation when on Friday there was an unprovoked attack on the community of Utupichu? How do you explain that within 48 hours on Sunday there was the killing of 2 people in Akpachi, in Uboju district of Utupo local government? How do you explain that by Tuesday, the following week, on the 14th precisely, that there was an attack on the Ondo community of Uboju, killing in the wake of it 2 people? And so the story goes on and goes on.
The senator said many states that could not fund their pseudo security outfit presently cannot also fund state police when created. He, however, implored Nigerians to wait patiently to see the outcome of such institution when created.
Let's take a breather here, and on the flip side, we'll bring you more unfolding of proceedings at the National Assembly. Please stay with us. It's good to have you join us back on the program. At the committee sitting, the House of Representatives has demanded a comprehensive account of the nearly 34 trillion naira worth of import duty waivers granted in 2025, insisting that every concession must be transparent, lawful, and beneficial to Nigerian economy. The directive came during the appearance of the Nigerian Customs Service before the House Committee on Finance as part of the National Assembly's ongoing revenue oversight exercise. Chairman House Committee on Finance James Faleke said lawmakers are not opposed to government waivers but must determine who benefited, the legal basis for the approvals, and whether the concessions achieved their intended objectives of stimulating economic growth and reducing the cost of essential commodities. The committee also questioned discrepancies in the Customs Service revenue report, despite consistently surpassing annual collection targets.
Your reporting is bad. Why do I say so? If you had created another column to represent this variance, this would have solved all the problem. You understand? Nobody will, the moment you see, you create another column and show the figures, the reason why. Do you understand? Yes, and then there must be explanatory notes. Every account have explanatory notes.
Lawmakers requested a detailed month-by-month explanation of revenue performance, saying the financial records presented failed to adequately account for excess revenues generated above approved targets. Deputy Committee Chairman Seidu Abdullahi argued that Customs has demonstrated the capacity to generate significantly more revenue, urging the federal government to set higher targets for the agency.
Sitting from here, I can see that you can do more than what you're doing. For a target of 6.5, let's take 2024 for instance. You were giving 5 trillion naira. You did 6 trillion. For 2025, you were giving 6.5. You did 7.2. So consistently, you can see that you're doing over and above your target, which means the potential is not being fully explored. So I think that's that's where we should tailor our argument towards.
Responding, the Nigerian Customs Service, represented by Deputy Controller General Kikelomo Adiola, clarified that Customs does not approve import duty waivers, but only implements approvals issued by the Federal Ministry of Finance in line with existing laws. Adiola also advocated greater investment in inland dry ports to ease congestion at seaports, improve cargo clearance, and boost trade facilitation, while assuring lawmakers that most cargo scanners remains operational, with only a few undergoing repairs.
When you have AEO in Nigeria, then if your work is going on export, they will give you such privilege, faster clearance, even in those places. If you have an AEO status with Nigerian Customs Service, as your cargo is coming in, without inspection, you are taking it out to your warehouse.
The committee also directed the Corporate Affairs Commission to submit comprehensive records of registered businesses and reconcile its financial records with the Fiscal Responsibility Commission over an outstanding 13.9 billion naira operating surplus owed to the federal government. The commission says it has begun settling the liability through quarterly payments. The Senate has also raised fresh concerns over the rising cost of medicines in Nigeria, calling for urgent measures to make essential drugs more affordable for citizens. The Senate's Committee on Finance made the call during an investigative hearing on the remittance of internally generated revenue and operating surplus by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, into the Consolidated Revenue Fund for the 2023 to 2025 fiscal years.
Chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, described the escalating cost of pharmaceutical as a major burden on Nigerians, saying government may need to review fiscal policies affecting local drugs manufacturers to ease production costs and improve affordability. The committee also explained that the reconciliation meeting became necessary following discrepancies between financial figures submitted by NAFDAC and the Fiscal Responsibility Commission on operating surplus deductions.
If you look at what is happening today, especially doing with the cost of drugs in this country are still very high. So the only area you can look at is to tell the manufacturers is either we increase their duty excise or their levy, or they should maintain within operational level that you can be able to function very well. You can advise us as a committee. We can look at that. We have done that with Custom and Excise Act in the area of sugar. On the basis of held ground, we did something that increased the levy on sugar, on all these, what do you call these drinks? Sugary, carbonated drinks. So you can as well look at it very well and advise. But so far so good. I don't think there is much again we want to ask.
Meanwhile, NAFDAC presented its financial records to the committee, revealing a steady increase in internally generated revenue over the 3-year period. The agency reported generating 18.73 billion naira in 2023, 29.85 billion naira in 2024, and 39.6 billion naira in 2025. Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, also disclosed that the agency remitted about 3.9 billion naira as operating surplus between 2007 and 2023 before financial constraints began affecting its operations. She urged the committee to consider the agency's funding reality while deliberating on future remittance applications, emphasizing that adequate funding remains critical to safeguarding public health and ensuring effective regulations of medicines and other regulated products.
The IGR was 3.68 billion naira. That is the IGR. And then the user fees, is 18.73. I'm rounding up. I hope that is allowed. IGR is actually 14.01 billion. So if we add those two together plus ABC together, yes, it comes to 18.73 billion naira. For 2023, sir, yes.
2024 is 29.8.
Yes, 2024 is 29.85 or 86 billion. And 2025
is 39.
Yes, sir, 39.6 billion, roughly. So those are what we have realized.
So what was the target in those years? Did you pass your target?
Yes,
or
we passed our target.
What was the target? Or by what percentage did you?
I think it was 10%. We didn't prepare or did reflect rather the percentage in terms, but we overshoot our target.
Is there any operating surplus that you have not remitted?
Yes, there is an operating surplus we have not remitted.
For which year?
It is up from 2007, before I knew what NAFDAC was, to 2023. And it's 3 billion 889 or 3.9 billion.
The Senate committee assured that the reconciliation exercise would continue with the aim of strengthening fiscal accountability while ensuring that policies support improved access to affordable and quality medicine for Nigerians.
And that's the much we can take on this edition of the program. See you next week on the Parliament on Global Television, which is on DSTV channel 365, Star Times channel 276, as well as on Free TV. And from all of us here, we say thank you for being a part of the program. I am Anyetsi Patrick. Bye for now.